An associated rediffusion every week from Monday to Friday.
Tell us anyone, let's have the 1 minute, let's have the still frame, thank you. I want a quick roundup of standbys before we go. Dubbing theatre, be ready to come up, let me know whether you're ready. Margot, go up by the mic, quick, go up and stand by the mic. And Margot, as soon as I've asked you, are you ready, nip back to the camera. Half a minute to transmission. Stand by, everybody. Lose sound. Lose.
May we once again bid you welcome to Channel 9. We open
Dubbing
our
theatre
transmission
ready.
as usual
Stand
with
by,
the
Grams.
news. So over first of all now to the ITN studio, and your newscaster who tonight is Christopher Chataway.
Cue Grams. Camera 1. Stand by to cue Chris. Coming to 2. Cue Chris. Take 2.
Good evening. The government is not going to grant automatic reprieves to convicted murderers. It is going to find time, probably in about 3 weeks, for the second reading of Mr. Sidney Silverman's private member's bill to abolish hanging, and there'll be a free vote. Sir Anthony Eden said that it would be inappropriate for the government to introduce a bill when they had advised the House to retain the death penalty. About reprieves, the Home Secretary said that before the law was changed, it would be unconstitutional to stop capital punishment. But in deciding on each case, regard would be taken of all relevant considerations, either of a public or private nature. And it may be that that word public means that reprieves will in fact be given. There was laughter in the House of Commons when Mr. Geoffrey de Freitas questioned the Home Secretary about Alfred George Hines, the escaped prisoner whose voice was heard on London Independent television recently. Mr. de Freitas asked Major Lloyd George if he held out no hope of the police catching Hines unless he made a personal appearance on TV. And there was more laughter when Mr. John Hines, the Labour MP, said, could not similar press, radio and TV facilities be extended to criminals who have loyally remained in prison so that they too can appeal for public sympathy? Major Lloyd George replied that Associated Rediffusion had committed no offence by broadcasting Hines' recorded statement.
Stand by, tell us anyone.
The unions whose working to rule has held up the printing of periodicals and weekly papers in the London area decided today that they would not go back to normal working while the inquiry into the whole wage dispute with the master printers was being heard.
Take it.
Over 200 people, mostly printers, waited in King's Bench Walk in the Temple to get into the first public session of the Court of Inquiry. Asked by the chairman if the unions would resume normal work, Mr. Robert Willis, seen arriving in his wheelchair, said that as the employers had dismissed about 6,000 members of the London Typographic Society, they could not lift the restrictions. The Association of Correctors of the Press gave the same answer.
Cue him. Take 2.
Over 200 miners' delegates from every coalfield in the country decided by an overwhelming majority today to accept the Coal Board's offer of a 14 shillings a week rise. After the meeting, which was held in London, Mr. Ernest Jones, who was the president of the Miners' Union, said, we hope that we will now face the future with fewer stoppages of work. And plans were announced in the House of Commons today for preparing the Navy also for atom-age warfare. The emphasis is again on nuclear power and atomic weapons. Submarines will be the first vessels to be nuclear-powered, and escort ships will become launching grounds for guided missiles at sea. But at the moment, these ships of the future are still in the planning stage.
Stand by, tell us any 2.
The agreement settling the main form of the future Caribbean Federation was signed in London today at the final meeting of the Federation Conference.
Governments of Caribbean territories are to be asked to celebrate the anniversaries of the signing as a holiday. The site of the capital is yet to be decided.
Tell Chris to stop.
Mr. Lennox Boyd, the Colonial Secretary, signed for Britain.
The papers on his desk.
Mr. Norman Manley, Chief Minister of Jamaica.
15.
And Mr. V.C. Bird for the Leeward Islands.
After this,
Mr.
stand by,
Gomes
tell us
for Trinidad.
1 for a quick cue. Stand by to cue Chris. Coming to 2. Cue him. Take 2.
In Birmingham, Aerial Motors, the motorcycle firm, have announced today that as they've got to reduce output, they'll have to start laying off workers. Eventually, about 100 men may be affected. And the Hercules Cycle Company, also of Birmingham, said too that they've had to lay off 80 workers already as a result of reduction in exports to East Africa and the effect of bad weather on home sales. And finally, a good piece of news, the thaw is on the way. And that's the news at 7 o'clock.